So having said that, I want to talk to you about how Frida Kahlo came into your orbit and what made you connect to her artistic visions.
Um, she came to my life when I was a young woman in college, and I think a lot of women have that experience. I think it's because we're finding ourselves and expressing ourselves more at that time. But it was a painting of her in between the United States and Mexico, and she had strong feelings about the United States, which she not always loved this country. Some things about this country and was really missing her country. And I just kind of saw my own experience a little bit reflected on that painting. I'm not the only one. There's millions of people who experience this, but that's what drew me to her in the first place.
Do you remember what the specific painting was that you were like, oh, that's me?
It was a painting called The Border. Yeah, I think it's La Frontera. And it is her on a pink dress, like actually standing between the United States and Mexico.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, I mean, I have to say there's, the painting of her, I don't know if you remember, it's in the film of her cutting her hair
Oh, yeah, I
short
remember.
after the heartache with Diego having an affair with her sister. I remember that, as a painting that I kept coming back to after an a specific breakup I had in my life where I actually cut my hair as well.
Oh,
So
it's like
yeah,
she's speaking to me and she
I
doesn't even know
know.
it.
And and then sadly years later, then I came to one of her paintings after I had a miscarriage, and she has a painting where I find that painting really important to a lot of us because that experience with motherhood and sometimes even just the feelings of like, do we want to be a mother, like what and some of us, a lot of us miscarriage pregnancies. Do I want to abort or not? A lot of women have those feelings, and we don't always talk to each other about that. I had wish in my own experience that I had heard about these stories from other women before I had my own experience with it. But then she was sharing that, and she was sharing that very publicly and very literal, kind of raw way on a painting. So I actually found a lot of comfort seeing that, even though it's a very dramatic, very raw painting to look at. I was very grateful to her for expressing our experiences like that so openly, in art.
She's sharp tongued and she shot straight from the hip. Like she left no stone unturned. You never did not know how she felt about something because she was very forward about it. And bringing that type of sensibility to the screen while maintaining her artistic vision within the confines of this documentary. I was gonna ask what that experience has been like for you, but you just told me, so I don't even have to ask you that question.
We do have accounts from people telling us that she was a very blunt woman and actually enjoy kind of like the shock value of doing the things that would, make people nervous and uncomfortable. Like we know
Mm-hmm.
that. But at the same time, in the letter, she was very open and very honest about how she felt about everything because she was writing people that were very close, writing to people that were very close to her. So like really close friends and her mother, a very close doctor. So she really opened up emotionally in the letters that she sent to people.
Yeah. Speaking of those letters, I know that you and your team traveled to Mexico and that you grabbed some of her letters and her essays, but you were able to speak to some of her family members too, right?
We had some wonderful conversations, and actually we brought them in as consultants for the film with family members from both the Calo and the Rivera family. So we were able to talk to Cristina Calo, who's also a photographer. Her brother is also a photographer, so she's a grandniece of Frida. And it's really interesting because Frida's father was a photographer. So the, artistic genes are
Run
there
rampant.
very much. Cristina had gone to one of the hospitals that where Frida had spent a lot of time, especially towards the end of her life, with like a lot of surgeries.
Yeah.
And as a family member, she was able to ask for the records of
Mhm.
Frida Kahlo, and she's helped, different museums do exhibitions about you know, Frida's body, like her physical illness and decay. And showing the x-rays and showing also letters that explain, or like the medical records as well. So it's beautiful, exhibitions that she's been able to collaborate on with different museums. So yeah, so having that input, and she had, as a photographer, she's also looked at a lot of photographs of Frida. And then we got to talk to Diego Lopez Rivera, and have long conversations with him about, he's done a lot of reading about his grandfather and Frida, and that was really fruitful for us to kind of like get that, a familiar perspective of this story. Also, genes are a thing. I mean,
Yeah, they are.
like they, I mean, seeing Christina live, I mean, there she embodies some of the aspects of the family. So she, had some facial features, and short like Frida, the coloring of, yeah. So that was really special. And then Diego's grandson has the same eyes as his grandfather.
Oh,
So
that must have been
yeah.
really trippy.
Yeah.
You're like,
So,
yep, it was.
yeah. But I have to say, like, there were really great ways that she, described people that she did not like, that I wish I could have maybe like, maybe I'll just use them myself. So
Look, pass them on over this way. I could totally use them.
yeah. Oh my God. She had like the most colorful way of like swearing. And that was really fun to read. Um, No, I mean, there are even details of her life that we didn't go into, but they made sense for the story. There was, she had polio when she was young, so she dealt with a little bit of solitude when she was a little girl, but we really wanted to, present her youth spirit, because she had so much amazing, like curious, passionate interaction with the world, and until the accident, and we wanted to make sure that that was very present and clear. So, so actually going into her episode, with polio early on, didn't quite make sense for our emotional narrative that we were telling. And there's a lot of, again, with every biography, that's why those are the hard decisions that you have to make, right? But I rather show you the spirit of Frida, and kind of like get you into her emotional state, instead of giving you a list of what happened in her life.
I
And so
loved
that's
it. I
that's
loved
how
it.
that's how we, that's how I approach films. And to me, that is kind of like a more interesting, more intimate take on somebody than just listing what they accomplished.
It came off as very intimate, very personal, very loving, all of the things, all of the adjectives. You know what a big fan of the film I am. I've told you a million times to your face and then some. So you already know.
I do
But
know.
now
I do
now
know.
the
Thank you.
girl, please. But you're my namesake. I gotta support. Um, but
Papaya.
yes. But in closing it out, I just want to thank you so much for your time and giving me and being so generous with your time for me. And if you had to describe your experience in making Frida in one word, what would that one word be?
Passion.
I would say that's accurate. Carla Gutierrez, thank you so very much. I appreciate you. I respect you. I respect your artistry. And I respect the fact that you are a woman director holding it down in the documentary space. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So good to see you again.
Good to see you too.